The 11th of April 1973, 2 a.m. I was visiting my grandparents in Mooresville, in the early 1970s, and was awoken in the middle of the night by a strange pulsating hum and an extremely bright light out the window. And I was frozen to my bed too scared to go look the blinds, and the next morning I mentioned at breakfast what happened, and my mom is the only one who had the same experience, and she was in the bedroom clear across the other side of the old 3-story farmhouse. Also, I want to add that high-tension power lines run across the field of that farm.
October 15, 1973, Martinsville, in Morgan County, evening. In south-central Indiana, Morgan County Deputy Sheriff Robert Williams said he saw an unidentified flying object that took off from the ground Monday night just northeast of Martinsville.
My parents lived on one of the flight paths between Wright-Patterson AFB and Scott AFB. We were accustomed to seeing jets, carriers, helicopters of all sorts flying over. Always west to east or east to west. One day me and my mum were outside, and an A-10 flew over heading due south. Then seconds later, 3 fighter jets in a triangle formation chased after it. We thought nothing of it at the time and assumed it was training. That night everyone happened to be outside, and a large, silent object flew over, very low, north to south. It had no lights, no sound. The only way we knew it was there because it went under the stars and blocked them out. It covered the approximately 5 miles of skyline we could see in about 3 to 4 seconds of time. As soon as it was out of our view, 3 jets, again in a triangle formation, chased after it. Once they were out of sight, nothing else happened. The instant it happened, me and my mother looked at each other in surprise, because we had seen almost the exact same thing earlier that day, but with an A-10 in the front.
The 2nd of April 1992, 9:30 a.m. while traveling south on State Road 37 between Martinsville and Bloomington, Indiana, approximately 7 miles south of Martinsville. I noticed what appeared to be the framework, no siding, simply the frame structure, of what appeared to be a building alongside the road. It was as large as perhaps a barn. It is not uncommon for me to check out changes along this segment of highway, as I had lived in the area as a child. The I-beam frame structure began to lift off the ground in an upward fashion. Naturally I slowed down. I looked for some sort of crane, thinking a builder was moving the structure. There was no crane. The structure lifted off the ground, slowly floated off into the sky, first above the trees, then straight up and out of sight. There was no noise, nor sign of a smoke trail. The speed of the structure was at first slow, then fast. There was another man in a car behind me who also witnessed this event. I, not wanting to think I had been the only one to observe the event, stopped the other driver at the stoplight at State Road 37 and 46 in Bloomington. I asked him what he saw and, more importantly, what he thought the structure might be. He described his sighting, as did I. We neither one knew each other, nor were we able to determine the nature of what we had both witnessed.
Morgan County, the 1st of January 2000 and July 2000. Indiana State Director's notes. I recently had a call from an independent researcher-investigator who reported that several members of his family had UFO, MIB sightings over the last year. On the 1st of January 2000, his son and daughter-in-law were driving from Indianapolis to Morgantown. They sighted a black triangle for several minutes in the distance. As they drew closer, they saw parked alongside the road a 1959 Cadillac hearse and a man standing by the car with arms crossed over his chest looking up at the UFO. In July of 2000, another son and his friend had a close encounter with a silent UFO. It was 3 lights in the form of a triangle, within 100 feet of the witnesses. Signed statements and sketches have been procured from the witnesses. Jerry L. Sievers.
The 25th of October 2005, 6:38 p.m. My family and I were coming home from having eaten dinner at Long John Silver's. We were 1 block away from our house, in suburb about 1 mile east of HWY 37 to Indianapolis, when I saw a big light in the northern sky that appeared to be fairly close to the ground. I was just getting ready to say, "That looks like a UFO," when my husband said almost the same thing. We watched the light for a few seconds before a self-luminous beam came on surrounding the upper half of the ovalish light. The beam was in the shape of an old-fashioned nurse's cap. Then, it just disappeared. Not sure if it just turned its lights out and we couldn't see it due to gray cloud bank, or if it actually disappeared or went into the clouds. It was about 6:38 p.m. when this occurred.
The 21st of November 2008, 10:10 p.m. My fiancé and I had just proposed. Haha. We're leaving Indianapolis and on our way back to Bloomington where she resides. We took Bluff Road out of Indianapolis to State Road 37. Driving down south, past the Greenwood region, but way before ever reaching Martinsville, I see an aircraft in the distance, with a solitary flashing light, which flashes once every second or two, moving slowly from south towards the north, rearing up to pass me overhead. I'm not paying too much attention to it, I was too focused on driving, but my lady told me, check out that plane. At which point, I look up through my windshield, as it's about 10 seconds before it could pass overhead of my car. I realize how low it is. It's only 50 to 100 feet, I'm terrible at estimating lengths. Above us. This scares me, as I believe it's a dangerously low flying plane. When I look up, however, and when the light flashed, I caught my first glimpse of the object. I said out loud, that's not an airplane. Second flash of light, I can distinctly make out the shape, that of which I have never seen in my life, and I come from a family with a history in aviation. It was like a skeleton, just composed of bars, supports, possibly metallic, and it was 2 times, possibly 3 times, larger than my car. The light flashed from the center of the object, and I could not see anything except for the supports, bars that composed the structure. No, I'm not sure where anyone could possibly pilot the object from. It was silent, it didn't interrupt my radio signal, it flew right overhead, and there were many people on the state road who could have, but probably did not take any notice of the object at all. I kept driving, because there was nothing I could have been able to do, I had left my camera in Bloomington. Oh, was I furious? Ha ha. My lady and I just kept talking about how strange the aircraft was, and she kept watching it as I kept driving. She said it eventually stopped moving north, and started moving straight up into the night sky. She lost sight of the beast as the drive continued. She was convinced it was some kind of ultralight aircraft, but it was so much larger, and there was nothing attached to the structure, like a glider or anything. Originally I thought the object was triangular or pyramidal shaped, but it was so large and I only got to see the front half of it, so there could be much more to the back end than I realized. When I came home, I told my father all about this aircraft, and he could not think of a similar object he's ever seen in the air. So I did some research of my own, and the only thing I can come up with that is similar looking, strikingly similar, but I believe a bit larger, is the Lunar Landing Research Vehicle. I believe that's what it's called, but for your sake I will attach a picture to this report, so nobody has to go out Google searching.
The 12th of February 2009, 9 p.m. Martinsville, Indiana. We were at home and I went out on the garage stoop to have a cigarette. I had seen a strange light in the sky for more than an hour, but assumed it was an airplane as we are in the flight pattern of Indianapolis airport flights. After I went back out and noticed it was still in the same location, I thought maybe I should look closer. I came into the house to get my HD camcorder and returned outside where my wife joined me. We proceeded to film the object, and within a minute of starting to film, the object shot off further into the southwestern sky at a very high rate of speed, i.e. in the blink of an eye. We both observed this behavior through the viewfinder of the camera. The object then slowly started coming closer to us again, as you will see in the film. During this time, it changes from a fiery object into a dim diamond. When we saw the object shoot off at a high rate of speed, we knew we were not looking at an identifiable terrestrial craft. This caused us to become a bit concerned, but we did not feel threatened. After I came into the house to find a tripod, I returned outdoors and the object had disappeared completely. Please take a look at the video. It is not clear to me what images might be created from chromatic aberrations or other digital video artifacts, but it is very clear that the object moved at an extremely high rate of speed. I do have the original footage recorded at 1080p. Best, L.